to the FanDuel Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay.
That was more of like a brick break. That was more like a brick breaker than a punch out call. You know when they do the warm ups.
Yeah, I still think you need to back away and still kind of build it up and really ring it out, you know. Yeah, one of those things. Take like 5 steps to the left so you're completely off camera.
I don't know if you guys know this, but ever since I started doing this, I started paying a little more attention to the little ref movements there. There was a great one in the finals last night on an offensive foul. The guy like wound up and it was like, "Yeah, out of here." And it was like offensive foul, bro. Don't even look at me. And he just fired away with that arm. So always entertaining. The refs want to be part of the show for sure. So
definitely.
Give them their due.
I mean, that's how it is in baseball too. I mean, these guys are bringing it. I remember, talking about that, and Noah Syndergaard got tossed. An inning in. I was like, umpires want their showtime on TV.
Baseball's the best in terms of the managers. I mean, they don't do it as much anymore. We got a lot of there's a lot more chill managers than there used to be. But back in the day,
challenges took a lot of it out too.
The what?
The challenges, being able to challenge now.
That too. But back in the day, I'm sorry, some of those managers back in the day, like Bobby Valentine, he would have just ran out there either way. Like you remember the mustache, but like there were just some wild personalities back then.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there were a lot of guys that really got into it. I mean, I still enjoy the minor leagues guys when they like sneak up behind the mound.
They come up to the ref and they're in their face.
Yeah.
Oh, the guy who threw the grenade.
You just don't see that anymore. I mean, I want to see more of that. You know, if they want to make baseball great again, I think that's part of it.
Bring that ref and manager like arguments back. Yeah, I agree.
Looking at catcher here tonight, and something we referenced on the DK pod. I mean, here there's no one over 10K as far as pitchers go, and I don't even think necessarily kind of those top 3 guys. Samardzija, Chris Archer, Cole Hamels are cash games. So I mean, you can kind of spin down. You can look at a Tanaka, and that leaves you at 3,200 left over, and you can even go cheaper than that. So you got some cash to spend tonight. There's some nice, value plays. Some of those Blue Jays bats don't carry as much weight, even though they are as the top expensive guys on the slate.
Yeah, Wilson Ramos much more in play on FD than he was on DraftKings. So you gotta like that. He kind of takes there was sort of some contrarian stuff I was looking at here, but he kind of takes not out of play, but Vaught, Fegley, whoever's going there, and Lucroy. Not necessarily looking at those guys here. Ramos is a really strong option, and also Derek Norris, Wellington Castillo, 28 and 2,900. I mean, that's what you want. But DK didn't give it to us today.
Yeah, and Castillo, 2,900 is the guy I'm looking at. I mean, obviously you mentioned Wilson Ramos at 3,300. He's a guy I like a lot tonight as well. He's going to be kind of the pivot play off of Castillo for me in lineups. I think between him, Gaddis, and Castillo, that's kind of be my 3 core that I'm looking at and going to be kind of circulating throughout lineups. You look at that, I mean, Ramos has hammered lefties. Castillo has as well. They're all drawing really favorable matchups. Gaddis in the past has had solid track record against lefties, but he's been struggling of late. And you're just looking, I mean, we're going to be targeting these guys a lot. John Lamb, Adam Morgan. You're going to be kind of targeting these guys for most of these positions going forward.
Yeah, and hey, Victor Martinez hits 3 home runs every game, so definitely a guy to look at there in your 3 home run formats.
Yeah, definitely. And at that price, I mean, 2,700. I always love FanDuel Victor Martinez as catcher eligible. I wish DraftKings would catch on. It's not going to happen, but he is a guy.
And that was the thing about him yesterday, especially for DK. It's like, yeah, okay, like I get it, but on DK, what were you supposed to do? If you're playing first, you play Cabrera, unless you're being.
And Cabrera's 2-run homer was completely overshadowed by 3.
Like what do you want me to do here? Like, playing Cabrera wasn't enough for you.
Yeah,
you had to just go and mash my face in. So, I mean, if you were the contrarian person who played Victor Martinez yesterday, congratulations. But ah, that wasn't gonna happen for me.
Yeah, and spinning down, I mean, Chris Iannetta, a much different price tag on FanDuel here. He's been
Mm,
really hitting the ball really well, and he has a really good chance to kind of keep it going. You look at Elias, I mean, very average left-hander, decent sample size, and 328 Wobatul to right-handed bats, 1.11 homers per
mm.
nine. In Fenway Park, obviously it's tougher to kind of come off of Castillo and guys, but for just a couple hundred cheaper, but he's still in play for me and catching him at lower ownership.
Yeah, I like that call. And in the opposite vein, if you want to lose, Kurt Suzuki's right there at 2,500. So if you do want to lose, just throw. He will get you 0 to 2 points, and your lineup won't be good enough. So definitely keep that in mind if you don't want to win.
Okay, Suzuki had a decent night last night. I mean, obviously he's not a good play tonight, but I just feel like there's some sort of resentment towards Kurt Suzuki.
I've played him like 5 times this year, and every single one was just nothing. There's just nothing. So
Well,
anyway,
outside of that, I don't think
again,
you need to go really lower.
no. Again, Jan Gomes at 2,400, but you don't like his matchups, so I think we got plenty of options in a relatively cheap range.
Yeah, definitely. And moving over to first base here, and once again, you kind of got the same core up top of Encarnacion, Goldschmidt, and Ortiz, and it's going to be me splitting my shares between Goldschmidt and Encarnacion on tonight's slate. And we kind of talked about this with DK. It takes Ortiz really out of play for me. I mean, Hisashi Wakuma, slightly above average right-hander. You just like the matchups way better for Goldschmidt and Encarnacion here.
Yeah, definitely. Nothing against Ortiz. I mean, what are you gonna do? Say you don't want to play him, but it's not that. It's just that these guys are in really good spots. I mean, Encarnacion, my God, he's just been mashing the ball lately. And in another good spot here. So I don't know how you can really fade Toronto. Like I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to think of ways that you can just honestly be okay with it, but I just can't. I think you just got to fire away with a few Toronto lineups tonight if you're doing tournaments.
Yeah, I think so too. And you just look at those matchups. I mean, against right-handers, Adam Morgan, 355 will go out to righties. So Goldschmidt's in a good spot, 1.65 homers per nine.
Mm.
You go a little bit lower, 340 will go out to righties, 1.49 for Mike Wright. That's just where you want to be at in those ballparks. They're pretty friendly for right-handed power. And with that being said, I just think above that 3,500 line, I really just rather completely spin up.
And for that split, Goldschmidt's like 400 WOBA and like 260 ISO against for righties or against right. So yeah, that's something you got to keep in mind as well. Goldschmidt, my top play at the position tonight, regardless of slate or price, but Encarnacion definitely in the running for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like, I mean, overall, I feel like a lot of these guys are just kind of out of play for me with those two up top. I mean, we talked about Votto being a super contrarian play. Is that more so on DK than FanDuel?
Yeah, he's more expensive here, so I don't necessarily like that as much. I do still like it as a contrarian guy, but it's not quite what I was looking at compared to sort of DraftKings.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if I am spinning down, it's going to be for Daeho Lee, 2,600. Seattle Mariners, I mean, we talked about them as a full stack. Here, I don't mind Lee as kind of a one-off, really contrarian GPP first baseman. You look at Elias, I mean, once again, your average lefty, 1.11 home runs per nine in Fenway Park. I mean, you get up and over that monster. I mean, Lee can definitely do that, and I think there is some big-time upside there.
So I've started to overuse the hashtag good. Is Adrian Gonzalez hashtag not good?
He's hashtag mediocre at this point in his career.
Hashtag mediocre? Okay.
He's
all right.
Yeah. I looked at him yesterday just because of that price tag. And
Yeah.
once again, I was burned with another 0 for 4 day, and the
Yeah.
power really hasn't been there. I mean, obviously he had won a couple games ago against the Giants, but it hasn't been there against right-handed pitching.
No.
And for me, he's off the table.
I think you're right, and I think I should have ended up using that logic yesterday, but I didn't.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
think I think that was the refresher I needed. You know how sometimes you just need like the bottle with the fan on it, it just spray you, and then it's like, oh, cold water, yeah, oh yeah, okay. That's what I needed. I needed that refresher for Adrian Gonzalez yesterday, and I'm back to normal, and I don't need to play him again.
No,
So
definitely not.
yeah, sometimes
Definitely
you need
not.
that refresher. You need that refresher every once in a while, but yeah, definitely not someone I'm looking at today.
Yeah. What about Miguel Cabrera at 3,800? I mean, is he kind of a contrarian play for you? It's a little bit of a spin down. I mean, Ventura's been up and down this year. I mean, mostly down.
Yeah, I like that call. Definitely in contrarian tournament range. I mean, he's obviously a good hitter in his own right. I just don't think he's quite as strong as Goldschmidt and Encarnacion, but I mean, $700-800 difference between them, so it actually is pretty significant.
Yeah, definitely. And moving on second base here, and you and I are in agreement. I mean, Jose Altuve, the top play of the night, and that 4,100, not that bad of a price
I
tag
like
here.
it.
It
Yeah.
fits in nicely.
Yeah, much different than DK again, 5,600 there. So 41. You definitely like that. Not even the highest price guy. Does this take Kinsler out of play? I think it might for me because I'm just always going to go to Altuve for 200 less.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think you're looking here. I mean, yeah, Kinsler facing Ventura. I mean, the only way I see it working out is if you're just doing a Detroit stack
Yeah.
against Ventura. I think that's the only way. I mean, you got Hamels going up against Carpenter, Cano on the lefty, which I only really like Cano in a Mariner stack. Um, and everyone kind of above, even in that range, like a Daniel Murphy or a Joe Panic or Pedroia, they're just a couple hundred away from Altuve. And we mentioned Lamb already. I mean, really bad against right-handers, 350 WOBA allowed, 1.35 runs per nine. And Altuve's back on fire. I mean, hitting over 400 in the last 10 games.
Yeah, so Altuve's the guy. Panic, that's expensive for him, and not a great matchup. Again, I like him in a contrarian way on DK, but this is too expensive, especially with all the options around him. And I mean, Neil Walker for 300 less. I think you got to like that more.
Yeah, I agree. And with that being said, I mean, Kipnis was a guy who was really cheaper on DK, not so much here. I really like Logan Forsythe at 3,200. You look at Samardzija, he's kind of really struggling of late. And I mean, 7 hits for Forsythe in that Seattle series. That's a nice sign that he's back and healthy, hitting up at the top of the lineup. And Samardzija's not a guy to really put you off of this race team. And I think at that price tag, he's a nice kind of spin down option.
Definitely, yeah. I like that. And one more guy. I mean, Gene Segura, 3,100 matches up nicely with Goldschmidt there. So little salary cap relief.
Yeah, definitely. He's at a really nice price tag, hitting their leadoff. And as for that, I don't see a ton of punt options down low to really look at. I think Segura is about as low as I'll go.
So where are we at with Michael Wacha? I have to ask you, because I'm still in between. I haven't really made up my mind where I'm at with him right now. And I guess if you think he's still not going to turn this around, you can like the Rangers are viable tonight, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like an Odor 3,100. For
Yeah,
me,
Profar in that same range.
yeah, those guys, they are in play just price considered wise against Walker. That was kind of why I liked Mazzara on DK, because he was super cheap. You can kind of take advantage of it. And let's say Walker does turn around these price tags as far as one-offs. You know, maybe they only go 1 for 4, have a run or whatever. It's not going to kill you. DK was a little bit different with some of those guys just because a couple of them were priced up a little bit more.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Waka looked a little better last start, but still hasn't been himself by any means. So something to keep in mind on here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, as he hasn't been good. He did throw a nice game against the Pirates. But overall, I mean, it still wasn't anything relatively impressive either.
No.
So moving on third base here, and here a little bit different. You got Josh Johnson's 4,700, Nolan Arenado a lot closer. DK it was $1,000 difference. I still think Arenado's in play as far as a GPP move, but Donaldson's just kind of that easy call of the night there.
Yeah, don't overthink this one, but yeah, I do like Arenado. Sort of at that price, 4,300, solid. I dig.
Yeah, I mean, you look at right in that ballpark. I mean, Toronto is one of the higher scoring teams on the night. Really hard to get away from them. And after that, I mean, you got a really big drop off. I mean,
yeah, I'm not digging really. I'm okay with Beltre. I think he has that power upside for 3,600, but he's not in the same sort of range as them, and even he's just like a pure punt tournament where you need some value at third maybe. But beyond that, I mean, you look at Seager, Beltre, Valencia, Prado, Frazier, none of them in perfect matchups, you know?
yeah, and I think that's kind of where I start to spin down to Justin Turner and Alex Rodriguez at 3,100. I don't mind those, or Michael Franco even. Those are kind of much more intriguing options to me than kind of sitting in that range of guys that you mentioned to kind of spin down there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that range, Turner and A-Rod. I really like A-Rod tonight at 3,100.
Yeah, and I talked about a Danny Worth punt play on DraftKings, and he is third base here at 2,200. Might find himself in the top of the lineup against the lefty there, John Lamb. He would be kind of a starter relief play. He might work into a Houston stack, kind of depending on where he is in the lineup. I don't hate that. It's tough because there is Josh Donaldson and Arenado out there, but if you are getting a Correa, an Altuve, Goldschmidt, other positions, you're going to have to probably do a punt there at third base.
And I think that's the sneaky type of guy where if he goes off, you're really separating yourself in a tournament. So if you are doing a Houston stack, I would take a long look at that, because if you can get him in, it not only frees up salary, but he's going to be, I mean, unless the word gets out, pretty low owned. And if he is, then I mean, if he gets a double and a few runs scored, that's a huge advantage for you. So that's definitely something to take a serious look at.
Yeah, definitely. And with that being said, I mean, that A-Rod Turner range, you'd take that out, because I think if you're sitting in the middle, you might as well just go all the way down.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving on to shortstop here, and you and I were once again in agreement that Carlos Correa is kind of that top play of the night, and not quite a big difference maker as far as pricing goes, but he's still in an area of guys where he has the best matchup out of all, really five of them there: Bogarts, Diaz, Machado, and Lindor, Seager. I like him quite a bit in this matchup.
Yeah, I agree. As we mentioned on DK, it's kind of like the matchup's just so much better for him than the other guys that. I mean, Bogart's definitely intriguing at that price just because it's Bogart's, but I do like Correa more tonight. So I'd say those two are my top tier, with Machado sort of chasing the truck, trying to jump it. Beyond that, I do like Correa as sort of a cash game guy tonight.
Yeah, and I'm kind of looking at Trevor Story as a contrarian GPP option. He's hit lefties pretty well this season. He's back up in the top of the lineup. I know these guys are away from cores, and that's what's kind of going to drop their ownership a little bit lower, because I think you are going to see people just kind of spin back up to a Correa or to a Machado or Bogarts there.
Yeah, Story at 31. We've talked about Conley's inconsistencies, so definitely a play there. I mean, him and Arenado could be a powerful bunch tonight, and it could come in multiple sort of at bats, you know. So you're definitely looking at that. But beyond that, I mean, we're kind of looking at Espinoza, Cozart, Cabrera, Gregorius. Like, those guys aren't really appealing that much to me in that range either. So he kind of stands out in that range. Same with Crawford. I do like him in a contrarian tournament sense, but with Story right there, it kind of takes him out of play.
Yeah, and I think if you mentioned those names, and if you want to drop lower, A Tim Anderson's not quite priced as highly. 2,500 leading off there. Trevor Bauer, not the perfect matchup, but not a bad one either. And Kettle Marte at 2,400.
And Marte, yeah.
So those are the kind of guys you can spin down to. I don't have a problem with spinning down if you want to kind of pay up at other spots.
Yeah, I mean Marte, probably the biggest difference from site to site. He's 4K on DraftKings, so that's one of the advantages of looking at both sites. You kind of get the range and like, oh wow, this guy's way cheaper here. So yeah, 24 and 2,500, those are pretty good values. See, this is what I wanted for Tim Anderson. Give me a 2,500 game before you just bump it up to mid threes. That's all I wanted.
Hey, well, here you go.
Yeah, thank you, FanDuel.
Hop out FanDuel and get a couple of lineups in.
Yeah, definitely.
Look at outfield here, and for me, I mean, there's really kind of two guys over 4K and over that I look at, and that's George Springer and Nelson Cruz, both facing lefties, both in favorable ballparks. These prices aren't that bad. I really like Springer 4K. I think he's a reasonable fit, and same with Cruz. I mean, he's heating up. He's mashing lefties again. Tough guy to fade at 4,300 as well. He's going to be chalky. He is going to be expensive.
Oh, he is going to be very chalky. The righty in that lineup, I mean, people are just going to be directed straight towards him. Seager and Cano are just like a funnel. Just go to Cruz.
They're the guys at the airport, like waving with the things.
That's exactly what they're going to be doing. So yeah, obviously Cruz a top option tonight. My favorite as an outfielder. So not that I'm an outfielder. I'm just saying as these are outfielders. I was never a baseball player. So anyway. Yeah, Springer, love that price. And then I think you kind of dive down here. Again, these Yankees are staring me in the face, but I'm going to keep going by just like they're ghosts. When you see a ghost and you're like, oh no, people is going to think I'm crazy if I tell anyone I see a ghost. So you just ignore them. You know what I'm talking about?
No. Once again, no.
I don't know. Moving down here. What was that?
Michael Saunders, 3,600. I like that price tag for him. I mean, he was super expensive on DK, but here it's a little bit different. Mike Wright, 404. What would a lefties? 1.59 home runs per 9. I like that ballpark as well.
Yeah, there's also a very interesting tier here at 3,500 of Ozuna, Calhoun, Trumbo, and Duvall. Of all guys that aren't in great matchups, but they all are very beefy. Let's just say that. And they have a lot of power, especially Duvall and Trumbo. I think they've earned one off in bad matchup territory at this stage, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you're kind of looking there. I mean, it's a mid-range that guys aren't really going to be owning. I kind of like Adam Jones a little bit in that kind of similar price tier at 3,400. He's really been heating up. You look, I mean, back-to-back games in that Boston series with the homer. 3 games in the last 4 where he has 2 hits. I mean, at Toronto, he had 2 homers. He's a guy who's been really streaky so far this year, and I kind of want to hop on before that maybe fades away, unless it continues to go, which would be nice. It's a tougher matchup against Sanchez, but I still think it's in play in that ballpark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I like him as a call too.
Spinning lower, I mean, there's a couple 3K guys that I don't mind. Franklin Gutierrez against the lefty there. I mean, you're cheaper Nelson Cruz, if you could say your poor man's Nelson Cruz. Trace Thompson at 3K as well. I definitely kind of don't mind those guys as those mid-range options.
Yeah, and Conforto, like we talked about on DK, I really like him.
Yeah, definitely. He's in a good spot. I mean, some of those Mets bats are, and we were laughing at Stanton just because he's far cheaper as far as DK goes. I mean, it's similar price tag, but you got to think site dependent. He's been bad, and he's a guy who maybe you take some shots on it to turn it around at times, but not against Gray. And I was laughing. I think 4 strikeouts is what's going to be in Stanton's box score coming into the night.
Yo, if he gets like a foul off, I'll consider that a win. You know?
If he even puts the bat on the ball.
Yeah, like oh man, like Ichiro is a monster compared to Stanton at this point. The all-time hit king, baby.
Okay, you got a weird love obsession with Ichiro there. I don't quite get it.
No, it's just so he's been so weirdly underpriced all year, and he gets 2 hits a game. It's like, come on, he needs to be mid 3Ks. Needs to be.
Well, he gets 2 hits a game, and then like
well, they're 2 singles to be fair, 2 singles a game. Yeah, but I don't know.
Nomar Mazara 2,900. I mean, struggling of late. But as you mentioned, I mean, Walker, you're kind of not sure what to make of him at this point. Is Mazara kind of a guy you're looking at in GPPs along with Lordor?
Definitely a one-off in GPPs. Kind of you love that price tag, and you love Mazara as the player. So I think those add up. An inconsistent pitcher, solid.
Yeah, definitely. And something that we referenced on the DK pod was this Arizona lineup changes a numerous amount of times, and you're kind of looking. You might see a Ricky Weeks, you might see a Peter O'Brien, you might see a Brandon Drury in the lineup against the lefty, and it's going to open up some value. I mean, Drury's bare minimum. You look at Weeks; he's not expensive. I mean, the guy freaking homered off Kershaw. If you believe in that batter versus pitcher, I mean, that's where it paid off for you. And Peter O'Brien, I mean, he hasn't been good, but at 2,500 against Adam Morgan, I mean, those guys are all in play for, and those are the value outfielders that I'm looking at. And you just need to figure out if they're going to be in the lineup or not. Which one or two?
Right, exactly. And we tend to say this most nights, but it really is true. There are surprises every night in the lineup. There are surprise scratches. Daniel Murphy was a surprise scratch every night. So if you are setting lineups, you need to be there.
Every night. Scratch.
Dude, I know
what you mean.
What'd you say?
Surprise scratch every night.
Daniel Murphy?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What are you laughing at? Hold on. Let's hash this out. What are you laughing at?
Because you said he's a surprise scratch every night.
Oh, I meant. Oh yeah, no, he's definitely not every night because he used to look at those at bats. He's been playing most nights.
Fired up about Daniel Murphy being out of the lineup last night.
Yeah, it was like a furious 15 minutes for me of just like, oh my god, no! It's the worst feeling when you have a lot of shares of someone and he's just not in.
Yeah,
you have to go change everything. But anyway, that's why you have to keep an eye on it either way, and it does open up value. So just be there 6:30, 6:45 when lineups are close to lock, and you'll find some values, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely a good point. You can check out our lineups page as well. All those are coming in constantly within 5 minutes of being officially released. So you can check that out, sort by cafe values, sort by position, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So, let's get wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.